Professionalism is not neutral. Workplace norms that are considered professional were developed by and for neurotypical upper middle class to upper class white men who are completely able bodied. And these norms often reflect cultural and cognitive values, whether intentionally or not, in those groups. And if you don't have all of those identities together, you probably don't like work as much. And that's most people. I'm Dr. Anna Call-Schmidt, an industrial organizational psychologist, and I research the unwritten rules of work for people from working class backgrounds. My first study was on white men from working class backgrounds, and even they had a hard time with it. And they had moved out of it and were in the middle class now. These cultural values of professionalism can include indirect communication, requiring certain forms of self-presentation and impression management, not disagreeing even if it's going to hurt the company or someone in it, or even worse, a client or customer, all while assuming that all of this knowledge is common sense and just the way it is, and not just the way it is, the only way it is. And the irony is they enforce these rules without even being the majority. These rules don't serve most people, and yet we are fooled often into advocating against things like universal design. Universal design is when you design something to intentionally be broad enough to encompass everyone. A great example of universal design is a ramp. A ramp is specifically helpful for people who are in a wheelchair, right? But it can be helpful for other people too, such as if you have a child and you need to go up it in a stroller. If maybe you are moving things in and out of the building, like office furniture, and you need to use a dolly to go up and down the ramp. Or maybe you're not physically disabled, but you do get an injury and you're on crutches and it's easier to go up the ramp. An example of how we can do this with norms would be clarifying communication. One of the most frustrating unwritten rules of work is indirect communication. It's more common in the upper classes and in white cultures and in neurotypical cultures. It's also more common in Asian cultures, but it's not universal. And people who are from working class backgrounds, who have done more physical labor, who use more direct communication because it can be a safety concern, people from African and Latin American backgrounds, and people who are neurodivergent tend to lean into direct communication. Clarifying communication doesn't hurt anybody who's used to indirect communication, though you do need to do it tactfully so as not to offend. Direct does not mean rude or mean, but indirect doesn't mean polite either. Hello, passive aggressiveness. Making sure your communication is clear benefits everybody. Clear and kind over indirect fake nice, I'll take any day.